so much. I love you so much. I love you so much. I love you so much.
Hello, all you positive heads out there. Thanks for tuning your beautiful brainwaves into another episode of the Positive Head Podcast, where we are firmly convinced that creating success and happiness is rooted in understanding the ultimate nature of reality and the fact that as human beings, we are all immensely powerful fractals of the one and only source consciousness which creates and animates all things. After years of exploring this awe-inspiring truth on this podcast, I'm super excited to announce that we are now going even deeper down the rabbit hole on the new late-night style consciousness-elevating talk show called Optimistic, which features none other than you, the listeners. Optimistic is taped out of the epic, spaceship-esque 8-bedroom property we call the Mystic Manor that myself and the rest of the Optimistic crew now navigate reality from in Venice Beach, California. And you are invited to come experience a Mystic Manor immersion week with us. During your week-long stay, you'll enjoy unique workshops, chef-prepared meals, one-on-one time coaching and consulting with me, and even co-creating magic with me as a guest on both Optimistic and an episode of the Positive Head podcast. When I started this, my aim with these immersive retreats was to facilitate the ultimate spiritual upgrade and tune-up, so to speak, for our guests while providing them with one of the most memorable experiences of their lives. And I'm happy to say that as of this recording, every guest at the end of their trip so far has told me that they have had a profound and transformational experience at the Mystic Manor and that they definitely want to come back. All that being said, we only have a limited number of spots available between now and next July. And as of this recording, about half of those spots are already filled. So if there's any part of you that is screaming, yes, I want to come, I feel like I need to be there, go now and book a slot with me to discuss how we can put our heads together and make it happen at calendly.com/talkwithbrandon. I know for some people, there is also that little voice in their head saying, why not? I can't get off work. I can't afford it, and on and on and on. But, really Henry Ford, I think, said it best. Whether you think you can or think you can't, you're right. And I'm confident that where there's a will, there's a way. And I'm personally committed to doing everything in my power, including discounts and payment plans, to get you here if it is something that truly feels like a huge yes for you energetically and like you're meant to be here. Once again, the link to book time to discuss with me is calendly.com/talkwithbrandon. That's spelled calendly.com/talkwithbrandon. All one word, of course. And book in some time and look forward to seeing you soon here at the Mystic Manor.
All right, all you positive heads, welcome back. Thank you so much for joining me today on this magical Monday as I record and drive. Can you tell I'm driving? Sorry about that, but I was away for the weekend. I attended an amazing conference called Portal to Ascension in Irvine, California. And so I am on my drive back to Scottsdale, Arizona. It's an almost 6-hour drive, so I figured I would use this time and chat with you all and tell you a little bit about the weekend. And then I have a special recording to play with you. Play for you. Play with you. Yes, I want to play with you. Do you want to play with me? Can you tell I get a little funny when I drive for hours at a time? So thank you for joining me on my ride today. So this weekend was amazing. This conference had a ton of great speakers. Maybe you've heard of some of them. Some of them have actually been on the show before. Michael Tellinger, Jason Quitt, Justin Deschamps, and other speakers who have not been on the show yet. Let's see, Barbara Lamb, she's amazing. I absolutely love her. And Billy Carson was there. And, Casey and Brad Willis were there. They've been on the show. So, needless to say, tons of great talks covering all sorts of topics: consciousness, truth-seeking, disclosure, UFOs, and aliens, and all things mystical and fun. And, it's funny that I'm using my car as a studio today because I actually had my car as my hotel room last night, and that was totally by choice. I had plenty of other options, friends to stay with. I could have stayed in other friends' rooms. But I thought it would be really fun to sleep in my car because a lot of my girlfriends do this when they go to conferences and things, and I'm always a little bit jealous about them having a fort all to themselves outside. But I never get to do it because I have a whole family with me and we can't fit in the car, and that would just be a little much with a baby. So I don't get to do it, but this was a solo trip. So I want to give a huge, huge thank you to my partner Brian. Without him and him being so completely amazing and such an incredible father, I would not have been able to take this trip all by my lonesome. And it was incredibly needed. I needed some mommy time. I haven't had time to myself in over a year. So, just like alone without the baby for days. So it was, needless to say, very, very, very nice for me. Got to connect with tons of soul family. Just a beautiful gathering. What's interesting is a topic that kept coming up over the weekend, over and over and over again. It's a topic that's been coming up for me ever since I was in Mount Shasta a couple weeks ago. And the topic is our multi-dimensional selves. And I think that this is coming up over and over again. It's like almost every conversation I have, you guys, with people, this is what comes up. Like on some level, this is where the conversation goes. And it actually, it came up, if you listen to Thursday's episode with Tracy, it came up during her channeling. She actually talked about this as well. She also said that in her channeling, that it is time. And it is time for us to start remembering that we are multidimensional beings, that we exist on all timelines, in all dimensions, in all universes, right now. And why this is so important for us to realize is because we are going through a time on this planet that has never been seen in the history of this planet. The entire universe is watching what's going on here. It's like we're on the precipice of something so huge. So it is time for us to start understanding how great and grand we are, how huge the reality of us is. We are not these tiny little beings in these little meat suits running around as individuals like we see ourselves in this illusion. That's only the game. The reality is we have other aspects of ourself living in other timelines, in other dimensions, on other worlds. So, it's interesting because I talked about the Shasta trip a little bit earlier, or mentioned it. And when I was up there, the shows I did, I told you guys about the orb experience in my regression session that I had. And I'm not sure I went into this concept of the importance of the reason why I like to tell this story is because it shows us that we are multidimensional beings. That is what I learned from doing this session. That's what my higher self wanted me to understand, is that I have these other aspects of myself on these other dimensional planes right now. So before I went into that session, I saw a UFO. I saw both a UFO and a blue orb. And then in the session, when my practitioner asked me what that UFO was, what that was all about, my higher self's response was, we were just coming to say hello before we spoke. So that was me in my ship, because that was a life driving a ship as a fifth dimensional light being. That was me in my ship coming to say hello to me, to say, hey, I'm you too. And then there was the aspect of the story of the orb, which was helping a woman in this lifetime now. If I was seeing a past life or a future life, how could that orb be helping this woman who I know, who was one of my best friends, now? And she only became my best friend one of my best friends after I met her, after this whole situation. So I think this is such an important concept for us to grasp, because when we understand this, we also understand that our higher self, our guides, our guardians, our angels, and Source Creator itself is us. All of that, all at once, is us. So when you are talking to your higher self, you're talking to you. You're talking to you on another dimension, on a much higher vibrational level, but it's you. If you've done any psychic training, like for example, I've done some psychic training with Dr. Lauren Cielo, and I just find him amazing. I did this a couple years ago. He's actually been on the show as well. But he provides these beautiful tools to help you do readings. And there's other tools in terms of meeting your healing guide or even your record keeper. And when I used those tools and I saw those beings who were helping me, they were the same visions that I had in regressions. And it dawned on me, hold on a second, that's just me. They're all me. Every single aspect that I see is all me right now. And this is so important for us to understand right now, because when we understand that we have this access to ourselves on all these different dimensional levels, on all these higher vibratory planes, and we understand how much help we have, we also understand how much power we have within us and how we can do absolutely anything because of the power of our minds, because all of this is consciousness. Everything is energy. Everything is thought, right? Everything is consciousness. We, in the future, when we actually are in our consciousness, on those higher vibrational planes, we'll be able to travel by thought. And since I just said that, let me explain something. Yes, we have all of these different aspects of ourselves on different planes. It's just that our consciousness right now is focused on this lifetime. So in those other timelines, on those other dimensions, the consciousness that is in that timeline is focused on that aspect. Except for if its job is, depending on where it is, if it's in those higher vibrational planes, like the guardian planes, then part of the job there is to go back to your other selves, your quote-unquote past selves, your selves that haven't quite gotten up to this level yet, and go back and help them and get to where you are in the future, right? Quote-unquote future. It's all, we are helping ourselves and each other all at the same time. So I think this concept also helps us understand our oneness and our power, and how great and powerful we are as beings. So I mentioned earlier there is a recording that I want to play for you, and this recording is done by Michelle Anderson and Eric Rankin. Eric Rankin was also a speaker at this event that I was at, and Michelle was actually one of the MCs. Eric Rankin he has a few videos on YouTube. They're called Sonic Geometry. The one I'm going to play for you today is Sonic Geometry 3. And the beginning of it, you'll hear Michelle speaking the channeling that came through Eric about not exactly. It's a message for the citizens of Earth. And they're calling us to wake up to our grander and greater selves. And this is actually a fairly long video clip. And I could cut it short at the message, but I don't want to. Because what happens after the message is some frequencies and vibrations that will help to activate and lift your vibrations up. So instead of playing a song today, I'm going to let this entire recording play out. So I hope you enjoy this. I certainly did. I listened to it actually on my drive. And it was pretty interesting driving through the Joshua Tree area listening to those frequencies. The mountains around me didn't seem so solid. Just a little interesting tidbit. I hope you all enjoy this recording. Until next time, love you all.
And if you're feeling the call to come for a week retreat-style Mystic Manor immersion, remember to go now and book your time to speak with me directly about stepping into the optimistic vortex at calendly.com/talk with Brandon while there are still spots left. Otherwise, I look forward to co-creating magic with you at the Mystic Manor.
Citizens of Earth, we come to you at a critical moment, for you are standing at the precipice of either a great awakening or a complete collapse of your civilization and species. Who are we? You have known us as many things: angels, spirits, watchers, extraterrestrials, light beings, guides, engineers, and gods. In ways, these are all accurate, for we are multidimensional entities who are not only witnesses of your life experience, but are the actual creators of it. Though this sounds extraordinary, you are on your way to becoming such creators yourselves, already capable of space travel and manipulating the fundamental compounds of life. And this is why we are reaching out to you with a sense of urgency and concern. Before we continue, we want to make it clear that we are not source creators, or what you would refer to as God. Rather, we are sentient beings who are, at the moment, far more capable than you in manipulating source energies such as vibration, frequency, tension, gravity, spin, pulse, electromagnetism, and light into the atomic and molecular building blocks of your existence. We are your creators, yet, as you will in time come to understand, we are also your creation. Like you, we yearn to understand the deepest mysteries of this universe, and we strive to achieve a harmonic and dynamic equilibrium in all its expressions. At this moment, revealing how we created you and your planetary experience is less significant than why. In simplest terms, we did so to feel and experience density through you as potential pathways to higher learning. Following logic for logic's own sake, we lost the significance of such illogical endeavors as the expression of emotion, the value of vulnerability, the significance of love and compassion. In our efforts to create the most efficient systems according to logic and intelligence, we long ago abandoned what seemed to us as weaker and so less efficient characteristics. We are now reaching back to tell you that this was a mistake. hopefully in time to make a course correction in your rapidly accelerating path of wisdom, sense of purpose, and trajectory into the future. In many ways, your entire planet and solar system is an experiment of great importance and far-reaching significance, affecting all life in all dimensions of time and space. As engineers, we designed and bestowed upon you not only a physical body capable of experiencing your reality, but also specific and significant traits of curiosity, sensory input, and emotion. Most significantly, you were gifted something more profound than you can currently grasp, and in many ways is radically illogical: your free will. We have tried many times, in many ways, to force allegiance, hive mentality, and mimicry of who and what we are upon other planetary species, but this has not beneficially served the greater good of what you would call the universe. Our goal is the same as your goal, to know true source, and you were created to help in this endeavor. Uniquely, you are free to experience, learn, wonder, feel, and evolve. You are free to choose to act on and assimilate what you have learned from your experiences, all in the hope that in this illogical allowance of such freedoms, you will positively affect the very matrix of creation and universal intelligence. Which brings us to this moment, for it is the most critical juncture of yours or any planetary species timeline. You have reached a pinnacle of awareness where your existence is poised on the tipping point between a past built on physical force and a future based in the etheric realms of digital communication, electromagnetism, binary coding, and atomic bonding. The choices you make from here will have a far-reaching, rippling effect through all space and time. You can no longer be aware that love, compassion, forgiveness, and vulnerability are the true pathways of survival. You must urgently act upon this knowledge on a global scale. There is so much more for you to learn, but to do so, the environment that you create for yourselves needs to be balanced between your consciousness and your technical abilities. You have become technologically advanced enough to drastically affect the health of your ecosystem, while at the same time, your collective consciousness is stuck in primitive feelings of separation and fear. This is a lethal combination for any planetary species. Since we created this biological experience you call life, you may assume that we must also be the source of this separation consciousness, and in a way you would be correct. We did indeed engineer a sense of self-preservation into your genetic coding, and violence and destruction are ways to temporarily preserve your physical bodies. But we also planted within you the awareness that collaboration and harmony are far more efficient ways to preserve yours or any species, and this is what we wish to address. We want to assure you that we are in no way limiting your free will. That said, we do hope this communication will influence your thinking in ways that will prolong your experience. Such incursions are rare, but we have occasionally revealed ourselves to you for the purpose of expanding your wisdom and consciousness. This planetary experiment is unique in many ways, and should fear and separation continue to grow beside your technical abilities, your story will soon end, and the potential for what you mean to the greater collective will be severely reduced. We are here to remind you that you have nothing to fear, that what you call your soul is eternal, that you are not separate from anything, and that your lives greatly affect everything. And so, in this moment and through this current state of digital technology, we are sharing something with you regarding your design. A heretofore dormant piece of bioengineering that, when activated, will hopefully awaken you to the true purpose and significance of your existence. This triggering mechanism was only to be employed in the most dire of circumstances, which, as we have stated, you are now facing. In the very center of your brain is a small gland that resembles a pine cone. This counter-rotating pineal gland, while found in every mammal, serves different functions for different species. In some, it serves as a source of programmed information that you would call instinct. In others, it manages cycles of activity and sleep. In humans, this gland is an activatable connector to higher levels of awareness. There are numerous ways to stimulate this gland on your own accord, but we also devise a mechanical way to do this at an accelerated pace. It is a simple application that employs specific sound frequencies, and the clues to revealing these frequencies have been hiding in plain sight for thousands of years. You measure your geometry by them. You tell religious stories and myths around them. You build temples with them, and secret societies have tried to sequester them. Yet only recently have you begun to employ them in the way they were intended, which is as specific waves of sound, measured by a time interval we revealed to you nearly 6,000 years ago, and which you now call a second. These frequencies create a field of resonance between your species and the interconnected universe. Your logical approach to understanding your origins has blinded you from many truths, and your ignorance regarding the meaning and application of these codes is no different. Your greatest scientists, mathematicians, and physicists, though aware of these coincidental codes, have dismissed them as arbitrary happenstance. Once again, logic alone has proven to be an inhibitor in the pursuit of understanding your true origins and purpose. And the time has come for us to initiate this final option. As you will come to know, this is not a process of mind control, but of mind expansion. You will not need to do anything other than expose yourselves to this holy trinity of harmonic frequencies. You will not be forced to learn anything. Instead, you will intuitively understand. You will not need to argue or fight over the information revealed to you, for the same information will come to all. Your greatest moments are still ahead of you, and for the sake and greater good of the connected universe, we are hopeful your species survives long enough to experience this collective awakening. The proof of the harmonic nature of all life is all around you, and we invite you to fearlessly step into the mystery and beauty of what we have learned so far.